Chapter 7: Disorders and Diseases. Mental disorders pose significant challenges to public health, affecting cognitive functions, mood, and behavior. Two prominent models for understanding mental disorders are the biomedical and the biopsychosocial approaches. The biomedical model focuses on physical abnormalities, while the biopsychosocial model considers psychological, cultural, and social factors in addition to biological ones. Classifications of mental disorders is complex, with two primary systems in use: the International Classification of Diseases by the World Health Organization and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders by the American Psychiatric Association. According to the National Institute of Health, a significant portion of the population experiences mental disorders, with around 25% meeting the criteria for at least one disorder annually, and 6% experiencing severe mental illnesses causing distress or disability. The DSM-5 outlines 20 top-level categories of mental disorders, each encompassing various specific conditions. These include neurodevelopmental disorders, such as intellectual disability, autism spectrum disorders, ADHD, neurocognitive disorders, including delirium and dementia, sleep-wake disorders, such as insomnia and breathing-related sleep disorders, anxiety disorders characterized by abnormal worry or fear, including phobias and panic disorder, depressive disorders marked by abnormally negative mood and a high risk of suicide, bipolar and related disorders involving abnormal mood swings between depression and mania, schizophrenia spectrum, and other psychotic disorders featuring distress or disability from psychosis, including delusions and hallucinations, trauma or stress-related disorders such as PTSD, substance-related and addictive disorders, including alcohol, cannabis, and opioid use disorders, personality disorders comprising long-term mental and behavioral traits outside societal norms, disruptive, impulse control, and conduct disorders, characterized by inability to control inappropriate behaviors, obsessive-compulsive and related disorders involving repetitive and unwanted thoughts or behaviors, somatic symptom and related disorders causing distress from physical symptoms of psychological origin, feeding and eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa, elimination disorders related to urination or defecation, dissociative disorders featuring abnormalities of identity or memory, such as dissociative identity disorder, which is multiple personalities, sexual dysfunctions impairing sexual activity performance, gender dysphoria caused by identifying as a different gender, paraphilic disorders involving sexual arousal to unusual stimuli, other disorders accompanying conditions causing distress or disability not fitting into other categories. This 20 classification system helps clinicians in diagnosing and treating mental disorders, although the boundaries between categories may be blurry and cultural differences must be considered. Schizophrenia, a prototype of psychotic disorders, is characterized by the abnormal perceptions of reality, such as hallucinations and delusions. Its symptoms fall into three categories: cognitive, negative, and positive. While our understanding of its cause remains limited, abnormalities in the cerebral cortex, particularly in frontal and temporal lobes, have been observed. Additionally, abnormalities in dopamine transmission, particularly in the mesocorticolimbic pathway, have been implicated, with medications targeting dopamine often improving symptoms. Genetic predisposition, physical stress during pregnancy, and psychosocial factors are among the suspected causes. Depression manifests as feelings of hopelessness and loss of interest in activities, with abnormalities in brain activity observed in the frontal lobe and limbic structures. Dysfunctions in neurotransmitter pathways, particularly involving serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, have been implicated. Stress hormones like cortisol, regulated by the hypothalamus, also play a role. Genetic factors and psychosocial stressors, such as childhood trauma, likely contribute to its onset. Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia, involves a progressive loss of cognitive function and memory. Brain atrophy, particularly in the cerebrum, is a hallmark, with abnormalities such as neuronal loss, plaques with beta amyloid, and tangles with the tau protein observed. Genetic mutations, particularly related to amyloid processing and factors like ApoE4 genotype and high blood pressure, increase the risk. Educational attainment and cognitive stimulation appear to decrease the risk. Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological disorder characterized by motor abnormalities. Loss of dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra lead to motor symptoms like tremors and muscle stiffness. Basal ganglia dysfunction, particularly involving the striatum, is implicated. Risk factors include genetic mutations and exposure to certain chemicals. Stem cell therapy is a promising treatment option due to the specificity of cell loss in the disease. Conformity and groupthink highlight how individuals behave differently in group settings compared to when they are alone. Conformity, often driven by peer pressure, reflects the tendency for individuals to align their behavior with group norms, whether those norms are right or wrong. This conformity can stem from two main influences: informative influence, where individuals look to the group for guidance with uncertain, and normative influence, where individuals conform to avoid social rejection, even if they know what is right. Conformity can manifest publicly, with outward changes in behavior, or privately, where individuals maintain their core beliefs internally. Group decision-making can lead to phenomena like group polarization, where the original opinions of group members are amplified, and groupthink, where maintaining harmony within the group takes precedence over critical analysis of problems. Groupthink often occurs in tightly knit groups with influential leaders, where individuals may suppress their own opinions to preserve group unity. Conformity and obedience are related but distinct concepts. Conformity refers to adjusting behavior to match group norms, while obedience involves following commands from authority figures. Both are integral to societal functioning, but can have negative consequences, as seen in instances like peer pressure leading to questionable behaviors or historical events like the Holocaust. Different types of conformity and obedience include compliance, identification, and internalization, each reflecting varying degrees of integration of beliefs into one's values. The Asch conformity studies, conducted by Solomon Asch, shed light on a powerful influence of social norms on individual behavior. Participants in these studies often conformed to incorrect group answers, influenced by normative and informational social influences. Similarly, the Milgram experience on obedience revealed startling insights into individuals' willingness to obey authority figures even when it conflicted with their morals. Despite ethical concerns, these studies provide valuable lessons on human behavior, cautioning against tendencies like the just world phenomenon and the fundamental attribution error, and emphasizing the importance of compassion for both victims and perpetrators. The just world phenomenon is the tendency for individuals to believe that the world is fundamentally fair, leading them to attribute outcomes to deservingness. This can result in blaming victims of unfortunate circumstances for their own misfortune as a way to maintain the illusion of a just world. The fundamental attribution error, on the other hand, refers to the tendency to overemphasize the role of personal characteristics or dispositions in explaining others' behavior while underemphasizing situational factors. Have you heard about the Stanford Prison Experiment? It was conducted in 1971 by Philip Zimbardo aimed to explore how social roles and norms can influence behavior, leading otherwise ordinary individuals to act in unexpected ways. The study involved 18 male, middle-class students who were randomly assigned to roles as either guards or prisoners in a simulated prison environment. The participants, fully aware of the study's purpose, began to embody roles to an extreme degree, with the guards quickly adopting authoritarian behaviors and the prisoners rebelling against their treatment. As the situation escalated, the guards became increasingly abusive, using tactics like forced stripping and solitary confinement, while the prisoners endured psychological breakdowns. One noticeable aspect of the experiment was the lack of solidarity among the prisoners, who were distrustful of each other. The guards, meanwhile, tended to reward compliance among the prisoners, further fracturing any sense of unity among them. The study shed light on how situational factors can override individual characteristics, leading to behaviors that may seem out of character. Concepts like de-individualization, cognitive dissonance, and internalization were explored as explanations for the participants' actions. However, the study also faced criticism for its ethical concerns and medicological flaws. Zimbardo's involvement as the prison warden compromised objectivity, and the lack of clear operational definitions and controls raised questions about the validity of the results. Additionally, the small sample size and potential selection bias among the participants cast doubt on the study's generalizability. Overall, while the Stanford prison experiment provided valuable insights into the power of social roles and situations to influence behavior, it also serves as a cautionary tale about the ethical and methodological challenges inherent in psychological research. Factors influencing obedience and conformity shed light on how individuals adjust their behavior in response to social pressures and group dynamics. To recap, conformity, the tendency to align with group norms, is influenced by various factors such as group size and observed behavior. Individuals are more likely to conform in smaller groups with ununanimous opinions, and when they believe their behavior is being observed and accepted by the group. Internal factors, like prior commitments and feelings of insecurity, also play a role in shaping conformity. Individuals are more likely to obey authority figures perceived as legitimate, especially in institutional settings like universities or law enforcement. However, personal mood, status, and cultural background can also impact obedience levels, with individuals from cultures emphasizing collective values being more prone to obedience. The bystander effect highlights how the presence of others can reduce the likelihood of individuals taking action in emergency situations. Factors like diffusion of responsibility and de-individualization contribute to this phenomenon, as individuals feel less personal responsibility and inhibition in large groups. Social facilitation and social loafing further illustrate how group dynamics influence individual behavior. Social facilitation is the phenomenon where individuals tend to perform better on tasks when they are in the presence of others, particularly when the task is simple or well rehearsed. This effect is believed to be driven by heightened arousal and increased motivation in the presence of others. Conversely, social loafing occurs when individuals exert less effort on a task when they are part of the group compared to when they are working alone. This phenomenon is often associated to diffusion of responsibility and a decrease in perceived accountability when working collectively. Agents of socialization, including family, school, peers, and mass media, play crucial roles in shaping individuals' behaviors and beliefs. These agents transmit cultural norms and values, teaching individuals how to interact with others and navigate societal expectations. From learning basic life skills to internalizing social norms and attitudes, socialization agents contribute to the development of individual identities and collective cultures. Norms serve as guidelines for acceptable behavior within a society, varying across cultures and countries and evolving over time. These standards are reinforced by sanctions, which can be either rewards or punishments for adhering to or deviating from norms. Norms can be classified into four main categories: folkways, mores, laws, and taboos, each with varying levels of importance and consequences for deviation. Folkways encompass common rules of etiquette and manners, while mores are based on moral values and often elicit strong reactions when violated. Laws, though also based on moral principles, carry formal consequences for violation, while taboos represent behaviors considered universally wrong and provoke severe societal disgust. Deviance occurs when individuals behave in ways that diverge from societal norms. The theory of differential association posits that deviance is learned through exposure to others who violate norms and laws, and with the strength of relationships influencing the likelihood of adopting deviant behavior. Labeling theory suggests that individuals may adopt and internalize societal labels assigned to them, influencing their behavior and self-identity, leading to either mild reactions, which is primary deviance, or more severe consequences in stigmatization, which is secondary deviance. Strain theory suggests that individuals may turn to deviance when blocked from achieving culturally accepted goals through legitimate means. Collective behavior refers to the actions of groups of individuals that deviate from societal norms, often driven by group dynamics and characterized by short-lived interactions. Three types of behavior collectively include fads, mass hysteria, and riots. Fads are short-lived trends that quickly gain popularity but also fade away rapidly, often driven for a desire for novelty or excitement. Mass hysteria involves large numbers of individuals experiencing shared delusions or panics, often fueled by rumors or fears. Riots, on the other hand, are characterized by groups engaging in destructive behavior, violating societal norms and laws as acts of collective defiance or disapproval, often in response to perceived grievances or injustices. Operant conditioning encompasses various schedules of reinforcement, influencing the frequency and persistence of behaviors. Most behaviors operate on a partial reinforcement schedule, where reinforcement occurs intermittently, making them more resistant to extinction than those under continuous reinforcement. One category of these schedules involves ratios, where reinforcement is based on the number of responses. In a fixed ratio schedule, reinforcement is provided after a set of responses, such as receiving a treat after performing a specific task multiple times. Conversely, a variable ratio schedule delivers reinforcement after an unpredictable number of responses, maintaining engagement as the subject doesn't know when the reward will come, similar to gambling behaviors. Another category involves intervals, where reinforcement is based on the passage of time. In a fixed interval, reinforcement is provided for the first response after a set period, like receiving a paycheck every 2 weeks. On the other hand, a variable interval schedule provides reinforcement for the first response after an unpredictable time interval, akin to receiving praise for completing tasks at irregular intervals. These schedules have distinct effects on behavior. Ratio schedules often lead to high rates of response, particularly with variable reinforcement, as the subject continues to engage in the behavior in hopes of receiving a reward. Interval schedules, meanwhile, tend to produce more consistent and steady rates of responding, with variable intervals being more resistant to extinction. Understanding these schedules allows for effective behavior modification in various contexts, from animal training to classroom management. To understand innate versus learned behaviors, Innate behaviors are instinctive responses to stimuli, such as reflexes, taxis, and circadian rhythms. Complex innate behaviors include fixed action potentials and migration. In contrast, learned behaviors are acquired through experience, such as habituation, classical conditioning, and operant conditioning. Habituation involves a decrease in response to repeated stimulus, while classical conditioning associates stimuli with responses, and operant conditioning links behaviors with consequences. Insight learning involves problem solving based on past experiences, while latent learning refers to learned behaviors that are not immediately expressed. Escape and avoidance learning are examples of aversive control, where behavior is motivated by the avoidance of unpleasant stimuli, representing negative reinforcement. Escape learning often involves escaping on an ongoing unpleasant stimulus, characterized by surprise situations like sudden fires. Avoidance learning, on the other hand, entails avoiding the onset of an unpleasant stimulus together, demonstrating proactive behavior to prevent negative outcomes. Thank you guys so much for watching this chapter. We'll be going into chapter 8 in the next video. If you guys liked this, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a good day.